This video was sponsored by Enhance, NeoWatt, A Better Road Planner, Elbilmek, Kempower and Bilkomponenter.
Yo, what's up? This is Kia EV4. It's possibly the most efficient Kia out there. I already tested it in some 1000 kilometer challenge and man, I was just blown away. It has a drag coefficient of 0.23 only. It's like a modern classic Ioniq. So you're gonna test it against the EV3 that I tested earlier. Okay, I don't have it here, but we'll just test the efficiency here, see how far you can go, right? That's what we're gonna estimate. But yeah, just to show you now in daylight what it looks like. It has the small cube headlight design here. That front, yeah. Actually, you can see here when I go on the side that the nose dips more down like that, so that's create that nice aerodynamic design. And then in the back looks like this. So there's also a sedan version, possibly. I haven't seen it before. People say that it's fugly, so okay, well, this is the most beautiful one, the most practical one. So yeah, despite that it's somewhat compact, right? It does have a okay sized trunk. And then in the back here, very impressive space. So I actually push the seat all the way back. That's usually when I do it when I have camera equipment on the front. And you see, we even have okay legroom. There's space for people with legs here, huh? Very impressive. And then front looks like this. Nice, nice. You see, that is not ambient light, because the ambient light is there and there. But you can of course set it to be green so it matches those strips. Not sure what it's supposed to be, but okay. Anyway, so we are now at Ioniq, Tangen. We're going to drive that loop over to here, Rudshøgnan back in. Normally I go from Dal, but they have some road work, some baustelle over here. Hopefully it's going to end this year so that I can resume from Dal, which is closer to Home, where I live. Well, okay, it doesn't matter what percent we start at now. I know that we can get 78 kilowatt hour from this battery. It's 81 kilowatt hour gross capacity and 78 net capacity. It's fairly warm outside. This is the warmest we can get nowadays, yeah, in the mid of April. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna reset. It has a proper trip meter, of course, and then off we go. Okay, before we start, we're gonna check the weight. This is outside of the driving cycles. Front axle, 1100. The whole car. Wait, did it go there? Okay. Oh, 1960. Well, it's 81 kilowatt hour batteries. It has to weigh something, right? Well, on the move. So this car doesn't have head-up display. It seems like there's a placeholder here for a head-up display. Well, at least we have the regular screens here, like you see in many other Kias nowadays. So I'm cruising on 123 on the speedo to match 120 GPS speed. All good. We have the HDA, the highway driving assist, I think it's called. Auto steer and also auto lane change. Let's see if I can make it work. Wait, oh, maybe I have to. I almost never use it because it's so dog slow. No, wait, I forgot. Oh, my bad. The thing here is not active, so you have to wait for it to randomly ping it. Ding! Now you can use auto lane change. So it's weird because the lines are clear, the road is clear. Okay, most of it. But there it's active. Okay, let's try again then. Okay, now we change the lane for me. Magically happens. Whoa, look at that, huh? It's alien technology from Korea. Oh yeah. Oh, we're on the way back now. Now we have slight headwind, but no problem. This car slices through the air like Swiss cheese through butter. Okay, so far 213 watt hour per kilometer, and climate is actually putting only 400 watt. Huh. But it's 10 degrees outside here, yeah, so that helps. Well, the result, 207 watt hour per kilometer, very impressive. especially compared to the EV3. And also, this car underreports distance by 1.7%, so that consumption is actually 1.7% lower. All right, this time we cruise at 93 on the speedo to match 90 GPS speed, and then go to the same place. I'm gonna do the coasting test over here at Brumunddal. But here we click here, you can see how many percent the car arrives, expects us to arrive at. 46%, we have 59% now. You also actually see it there, up there. So, but you don't see it if you go out of here. So that's kind of minus. Should be visible here always. It seems like temperature went up slightly. It's 10 degrees Celsius now. It was 8 and 9 degrees in the previous run. And this car has the Harman Kardon sound system. How good is it? Well, let's find out. Wow. Sounds nice and clear. There's also some deep bass here. And actually, unlike some other systems that has overwhelming bass, here it seems to be well balanced. It's not too loud. I have set everything to flat EQ. I like it. Okay, next song. Yeah, when will I be able to get over to Arctic Circle? Is Weissnis? One day, when the kids grow bigger, then I will leave them at home. I go alone, yeah. Yeah, same here. Same impression here on this song. The bass is linear, not overwhelming, just nice there. It has that depth in the sound. This sounds very good. Okay, trying different songs now. Wow. It sounds so pleasant here, you know, pleasant to listen to. Also with a nice presence of the bass again. Well tuned, really. Okay, what about rattling in the doors? Typically mid-bass will trigger that. And as always, I'm using the best quality, CD quality, 44 or 48 kilohertz sample rate. 16-bit stereo. It's a 2.0 system. I mean, while they're recording, yeah. Nope. No rattling there. Okay, last song. Okay. You can just reproduce any genre with pleasure. Okay, what about if I crank it up? Impressive. Okay, it doesn't play over loud, but loud enough for most people. And I couldn't hear any clipping even at the maximum level, and also no distortion at max level. This is high-end stuff, man. In a Kia, huh? Wow, very nice. One thing I noticed with this car, I think it applies to all the other Korean cars also, is that it doesn't drive that smooth in the curves, the auto steer. Not sure if it's visible that much, but you can see that the steering wheel goes left and right, just gently. And okay, we are in a curve, but even when we go straight, the car just won't go straight. It just goes slightly left and right and left and right. I mean, the road it's dead straight. You know, it's as straight as Elton John right now, and the auto steers. You notice this, or at least I noticed this. Because most other car, once the car is supposed to go straight, and it goes rock solid state here. No, but okay, at least it handles the mergers really well, so that's good. Oh shit! Okay. Well, let's do the coasting test. First, we have to wait for the battery power to become 0 or below 0. So going on a slight downhill now. It's gonna be more. Okay, see. Wait, huh? there, okay. But now if I use no region, you see that it's still region some. But then if I put it in neutral, then we actually have, okay, some power draw because it's HVAC and lights and whatever. So now we have the best possible coasting conditions, right? Slight tailwind also. 10 degrees Celsius, 9.5 actually. And then we just hunker down. Try to go schnell. But it's not picking up that much speed. Maybe it could be because it has a PM motor and it doesn't fully disengage it, or I don't know. Well, at least we hit 110 kilometers per hour. Okay, come on, go schnell, go schnell. Well, actually, the speed there is slightly off. I think the real speed is around, the GPS speed is around 2 kilometers per hour higher than that. So, yeah, okay. Now it starts slowing down. And it's not because of the car in front, because we are neutral. So I can show you. Press the throttle, nothing happens. There's only 2 pedals there. If I press the other pedal, that's brake. So, yeah. No bullshitting with you. Okay, anyway. Well, we're still gliding. We're still gliding. Come on. Can we at least glide to the noise walls? Yes, we can. Okay. So, let me see. Where was it that the classic Ioniq and the ID3 hit 90 kilometers per hour? It was roughly here, between those 2 blue signs here. Here. Oh, we are still gliding, kind of. Okay, no, there we hit 90. All right. Okay, maybe not the best result. Maybe because this car is not that heavy. Ideally, it needs to be 2.5 tons, right? You need to equip this car with LFP battery, but yeah. But just to give you a kind of guideline of how well this car can glide, or how much friction it has in drag or in the gearbox and wheel bearings, right? So I'd say it's pretty good result. We're almost at the Rudshøgda now, and over here it's fairly close to Mjøsa. And look at the consumption, 135 watt-hour per kilometer. Oh shit, Tesla go home, Ioniq go home. Okay, let's see what happens if we don't hold the steering wheel. Your auto steer is active. Keeps driving. And first warning, we have just visual warning, no sound. Goes like that for a little bit. And then comes some sounds. Goes like that a little bit, and then steering wheel starts vibrating. And then it puts on the hazard lights, and then it slows down. But you see, auto steer is active. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. Okay, yeah. So, and then it disengages. I have to just re-enable here again. But wow, it ticked all the right boxes. You should stay, you should slow down slowly. Try to wake up the driver maybe, and also keep auto steer active while it's doing that, so it doesn't like go out in the ditch or something. So this is perfect behavior if you don't touch the steering wheel. All the other car manufacturers, watch and learn. Well, consumption was 143 watt-hour per kilometer before correction. Very good, man. This is almost on par with ID3. But okay, ID3 was probably tested in warmer weather. Alright, we're back home. So based on test today, you see that we have better efficiency on the EV4 versus the EV3. And the EV3 was even done in slightly warmer weather. So wow, this is so much better. And of course, the EV4 looks better than the EV3. So unless you need a boxy car with plenty headroom, I mean, even here you have plenty headroom, right? Then okay, you have to go for EV3, but I would get the EV4 any day, man, because efficiency trumps everything. And then when it comes to the interior and the ride, it's nice, yeah, good seats, I like it, nice ride, except for that it's front wheel drive. So when I accelerate, the nose goes a bit up, when I decelerate, it tries to regen, and then the nose goes down a bit. So it's noticeable. Versus, for example, my classic Soul, which doesn't do that much. So it seems like, okay, even though this is said to be the driver's car more, right? Simply because it's front-wheel drive, I feel like they also made it kind of soft. Then it's not really a sports car, yeah, to put it that way. But it's probably still a very nice family hauler, right? So that's gonna be for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching and talk to you later.